If you've been sold on the promise of passive income through digital courses, you, my friend, have been played. You know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the entire, make money creating courses space. I'm sure you've heard it. You've heard about it before. You probably know someone in that arena. It is from top to bottom, a high maintenance, low leverage lie. You know what I mean? It's been the guru model, if you will, for the last decade. They tell you, to monetize your genius. They tell you to build an evergreen empire. They tell you, it's passive. Well, I'm here to tell you that the course model is the most active, most labor-intensive job that you can create for yourself in the digital space. All right. It's not an asset. If anything, it's a content treadmill, if you will. Right. And here's the craziest truth that they keep hidden from all of us. Right. Is the failure rate. 95%. Now, they're not going to tell you this. Right. But 95% of courses earn less than $1,000 in their lifetime. Think about that. In the entire lifetime of said course, it will gross less than $1,000. That is pretty gross, right? Hey, welcome to the Home Business Hustle Podcast. I'm your host, Isai Rodriguez, and my world is built on systems that work. And so if a model demands infinite personal effort, it fails, in my opinion, the logic test. And today we're auditing the course model on my three core criteria: time, cost, equity, and duplication. So let's start by me introducing you to Professor Paul, right? Paul is a genius, right? By every definition, he's an expert in his field, right? He spent 18 months, not 18 days, building the most comprehensive, beautiful course that you could imagine. Perfect lighting, perfect audio, 50 hours worth of video content. Then he launches it, right? And he waited, and he waited, and he waited. He was waiting for the sales to roll in. Let me tell you, all he got were 2 sales, and one of them was his mom. He then spent the next year frantically updating the content because obviously the content wasn't good, right? That's what he thought. And so, he went through that year updating the content. The platform changed, the algorithm changed, the industry changed on him, right? He felt obligated to answer every single question in the private Facebook group that he had. Are you with me? He essentially became a full-time content creator, customer service rep, tech support, and community manager, if you will, right? All rolled into one. Listen, the reality with this and that, like this scenario, that like this whole make money with courses, yeah, it does work. Some people have made a lot of money, right? But the reality is that he didn't build a business, and most people that build these courses, they generally don't build a business behind it because they can't. It's pretty impossible to do that, right? What he did was he built a digital shelf warmer, right? And a full-time unpaid job. Paul, and maybe you, are making the 7-figure mistake, right? You believe the content is the business when the truth is that the system is the business. You follow me? Here's the promise that they sell you. Again, they say, create it once, it'll sell forever, it'll be evergreen, you can leave it on the internet, it'll just continuously pump money into your bank account. But the reality is much, much, much different. The whole create it once and sell it forever, that's only true if your course is about the history of the Roman Empire. Are you with me? Something that's never going to change. Okay. But if you're selling anything relevant like marketing, business information, tech, oh my God, let's not even get into that. Even the health industry, right? If you're building or selling anything relevant in those industries or anything like that, then you're essentially trapped on the content treadmill. First of all, the creation cost alone is insane. That initial 100 hours of recording is a sunk cost with no guarantee of return. Think about that. At first, you have to spend some time putting the stuff together, recording it, uploading, all that good stuff. Then there's the maintenance cost. The moment that you finish recording, the content is essentially obsolete if you don't roll it out fast enough, right? You're now obligated to maintain that, to update it, to refresh all the modules and make sure it's still relevant, right? And essentially shoot new videos. This is infinite work, if you will, right? And how about the support costs? Think about that. Every time you sell a course, you're buying a potential new customer service obligation, right? Now, you have think of it, now you have to manage the community. You have to answer FAQs. You have to deal with refunds. This is the opposite of being passive, of something that's passive. It's essentially a job that you paid yourself to create, right? You paid with your time, you paid with your effort, you paid with, maybe with your dollars, right? Because you're going to need a platform of some sort. You need to host it on the internet somehow, right? There's money involved there. There's a monetary value that you need to place up front. Are you with me? You usually trade freedom for an obligation to constantly service a static piece of content. Again, this fails the time cost test miserably. And where's the equity in a digital course, right? What do you actually own? Think about that. What you actually own is a folder full of videos. That's basically it. But that content is easily copied, summarized by AI nowadays, or even surpassed by the next guru's latest release, right? Content by its nature has a rapidly depreciating value. Real equity is in the system. So where is your system in that? Right? You don't own the platform. Kajabi is you're just renting space from Kajabi if that's who's hosting your product, your info stuff. You don't own the students, you own a one-time transaction, if anything, right? You don't own the funnel. You're a renter on Facebook and Google, right? Think about all this. You own a digital shelf warmer. That's tough to stomach. You feel me? You have to spend 90% of your time trying to figure out how to drive traffic to the 10% of the asset you actually created, right? A real business is essentially a machine that generates predictable cash flow. That's a system, something that you turn it on and it runs, right? A course is a product that requires an unpredictable launch sequence every 6 months just to remind people that it exists. It has a terminal value of essentially zero without you, right? The course model rewards essentially the solo artists, right? Which is great if that's your thing. But the whole point is that your knowledge is your genius. That is the product, right? You can't duplicate your genius. There's no system in that. You can't monetize, your genius and package that up into a system and then build predictable businesses based on that system, right? Therefore, you can't scale the content creation, right? You can't delegate the expertise. Can you? I don't know. I haven't found a way of doing that. I'd love to. That'd be awesome. The thing is that you're the bottleneck for every product update, every new offering, and every customer support issue that requires an SME, right? The subject matter expert, you, right? A real system is built on processes, not personality. The course model, this fails, in my opinion, the duplication test because it makes you the single point of failure and the single point of production. So listen, the problem here right now with this, it's clear, right? The course model is designed to fail the builder because it focuses on the product, the content, and not the architecture, right? The system and the leverage, right? So what does pass the audit? Think about that. What model is built on, say, a 60-year track record that requires zero content creation? What model has the products, the training, and the sales funnel already built for immediate duplication? What model has high predictable residual royalty because its focus is on retention and not one-time transactions, right? I'll give you a hint. There is such a system, one that is the antithesis of the course model, one where you essentially focus 100% of your energy on the system and none on the content. And so I've got the criteria for vetting these models and the name of one that actually works. I have that all laid out in my free tool called the 7-Figure Mistake Audit Checklist. This checklist doesn't care about your genius idea or your beautiful videos, right? It only cares about the math of the system. Does it add up? Does it duplicate? Is a system in place, right? So stop selling one-time content and start building a system for residual royalty, all right? Follow the link in the description below. Get the free checklist, audit your content creation hustle, and stop making the 7-figure mistake. This has been another episode of the Home Business Hustle podcast. I'm your host, Isai Rodriguez, here to tell you that the world doesn't reward potential, it rewards alignment, okay? Until the next time, take care, and I'll catch you on the next video. All right, take care now, bye.